Hello everyone. Today we are exploring privacy in the age of cyber technology. Privacy is a cornerstone of ethics in engineering and society because it protects our personal space, choices, and information. While privacy concerns existed before computers like the phones and the cameras, cyber technology has greatly amplified them because data can be collected faster, stored longer, and shared more widely than ever. Unlike paper records that were limited and could fade away, digital records can last indefinitely. As Tamani notes, because of cyber technology, most of us have what our familiar calls a womb to tomb disaster or dossier, meaning our lives can be recorded from birth to death. So, what is privacy? You may see the three categories in the table: accessibility privacy, being left let alone and free from intrusion; decisional privacy, freedom from interference in choices; and informational privacy, that is, control over personal data and its flow. These matter because privacy supports autonomy, dignity, and identity. It also supports human well being by enabling trust, friendships, and creativity. Beyond the individual, privacy is a social good that strengthens democracy by allowing people to develop ideas without constant monitoring. So now that we know what privacy is and why it matters, let's look at how cyber technology threatens it.
Privacy today faces threats that earlier generations couldn't imagine because cyber technology enables non-stop monitoring and large-scale data collection. Small action, clicks, purchase, movements can be compiled into a womb-to-tomb dossier. For engineers and ethical leaders, the key question is just because we can collect data, should we? One major method is Internet cookies. They help websites remember login and preference, but they also track browsing across sites and allow advertisers to build detailed profiles. This can happen without clear user awareness, raising informed consent concerns. User can block cookies, but many never change default settings. Another tool is RFID, radio frequency identification. Tiny tags in cards, passports, or products. RFID supports convenience like inventory, contactless payments, but can also track people in the physical world. For example, employer monitoring entry or exit with RFID badges. Finally, government surveillance is amplified by digital networks, monitoring metadata, emails, social media, and GPS. Phones include GPS, locator chips for 911, but that also enable location tracking. One US facility was described as analyzing vast amounts of the world's communications. Such monitoring can lead to data violence and threaten civil liberties, free speech, and democracy.
We've heard about data collection. Now let's focus on what organizations do with personal data after they collect it. The big risk is not only collection, but also combining and analyzing data to reveal patterns we never meant to share. Tavani highlights three key techniques: data merging, where information from different sources is combined to form a full profile; a mosaic of a person; data matching, where databases are cross-checked to find hits that link information to an individual; and data mining, where large data warehouses are analyzed to uncover hidden trends and make predictions. Lee's banking case shows this clearly. When Lee applies for a car loan, the bank mines its customer data and finds patterns like executives earning more than $200,000 but less than $300,000, who purchase luxury cars and take international vacations, are also likely to start their own businesses, and that the majority of marketing entrepreneurs declare bankruptcy within a year. Lee fits his profile, so he may be judged as a future credit risk without his knowledge. This connects to contextual integrity. Information should flow according to norms of the situation. Even without sharing these data externally, the bank proposed it in a way Li did not expect it. As Tavani notes, data mining can generate new categories and groups that people would very likely have no idea they belong to. Ethically, this raises fairness and consent issues, and engineers must consider purpose, context, and responsibility, not just the capability.
Thank you. Now that we understand the threats to privacy, the biggest question is how can we protect privacy in the cyber world? One approach is privacy enhancing technologies, which is PETs, like encryption, cookie controls, tracking blockers, and anonymity tools. But PETs only work if people know and use them, and Tavani notes websites are not required to inform users about PETs or make them easy to use. That's why engineers should design privacy by default, opt out or not opt in, and follow privacy by design. A second approach is informed consent. People should knowingly agree to what data is collected and how it's used. In practice, I agree pop-ups often fail, so we need clearer, simpler disclosure, like shortly summaries or privacy nutrition labels. Third is the debate between self-regulation versus legislation. Trust marks like trustee try to build trust, but toys mark case shows limits. ToySmart promised data would be used internally but would not be sold to or exchanged with external vendors. Yet bankruptcy pressures changed behavior. Tavani concludes controls beyond those provided by Trustmarks and e-commerce vendors are needed. Different regions respond differently. For example, GDPR versus weaker US protections, but accountability is key. Finally, ethical leadership matters. Asking, do we really need this data? Using ethical frameworks, utilitarian and deontological. Running privacy impact assessments and build a team culture that respects privacy as a professional duty.
Another leadership is ethical leadership. Ethical leadership means leading by examples and doing the right things for the right reasons. It's about integrity, honesty, and keeping the welfare of others in mind, not just chasing short term gains. In professional engineering and other fields, this is essential. People's safety and trust are at stakes. Great leaders make ethics a foundation of their leadership. As Hugh says, they show a commitment to doing what is right, not just what is expedient. In other words, athletic leaders choose principle over quick fixes or selfish benefits. They understand that leadership is a moral exercise, so they align their actions with core values. So we can think of ethic at multiple levels: personal values, professional codes, and broader social standards. By respecting all of this, aesthetic leaders build credibility and trust. They use their power for good. Because a leader's personal value and aesthetic code shaped how they influence others. Ethical leadership creates a culture where everyone strives to do the right things for the right reasons. So, this is my understanding of the ethical leadership.
Now, let's discuss how we think through tough choice or moral reasoning. Leaders often face ethical dilemmas with two value or duty conflict. Unlike ambulance wrongdoing, ethical dilemmas isn't clear cut. It can even be a right versus right situation. Often, As a huge note, ethical dilemmas tend not involve choice between what's a right or wrong, but between two different rights. For example, a manager may struggle between telling the truth and be and being loyal to a colleague. Both are good values, but they clash. By contrast, an ethical life is fueled to do the right thing when someone knows what's right. For instance, planning an error or lying for personal gain. So, how can leaders work through such dilemmas? They can look at the problem through multiple ethical lenses. This means consider the outcomes, which choice helps the most people. Principles, what the rules or duties say, and care, the golden rule. Treat others as you did want to be treated. Use this and basic, rule-based, and care-based perspective to help a leader see different angles and make decisions in energy with core values, professional standards, and the great good.
What are values? Values are our core beliefs about what is important in life. They guide our decisions and actions. Hughes and others say values serve as guiding principles in people's lives. If you value honesty or safety, that value will steer your behavior at work. As we mature, our understanding of right and wrong deepens. That's moral development. A new engineer might begin by following the rules, but with experience, they learn to make ethical choices based on personal principles. Personal, organizational, and societal values also interact. Your integrity could be tested by company pressure or by public welfare laws. Ethical leadership means balancing these forces, staying true to your moral compass while upholding professional and societal standards. Finally, not all values are the same. Terminal values are the end goals we seek, and instrumental values are the means to achieve those goals. For example, an engineer might prize public safety as a terminal value and use honesty and diligence as the instrumental values to achieve it. Understanding our values and how they develop helps us make ethical decisions as professionals.
Finally, leaders play a key role in creating an ethical environment and making ethical decisions. They set the tone through their everyday behavior, the tone at the top. For example, when leaders act with integrity, treat everyone fairly, and show that safety comes first, it strongly reinforces an ethical culture. According to Hughes, an ethical climate is one where standards are consistently, clearly, and pervasively communicated by leaders who reinforce them through example. In engineering, it's a core professional responsibility for leaders to show that safety, quality, and fairness are non negotiable. Practical steps include establishing a code of conduct, educating employees about ethics, and holding themselves and others accountable for unethical behavior. For tough decisions, a structured approach helps. According to the image that you may see, which is the ethical decision making model that offers guidance, it says to identify the ethical issue, gather the facts, weigh the options and consequences, then choose a course of action. Ultimately, ethical leaders build a culture where doing the right thing is the norm, using careful decision making to uphold ethics under pressure. This approach protects the organization and the public, and it builds long term trust and credibility. And this sums up everything about leadership and privacy and cyber privacy as well. Thank you very much for listening patiently to the entire presentation and the efforts presented by the entire team. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and I hope you got great insights from the presentation. Thank you very much.